Well, hey guys. Hey, in light of the world just on the verge of completely rejecting the dollar, we understand that things here in America are about to change, and they're about to get harder for us Americans. And I got to thinking, what are we doing? What are you doing? What am I doing? What are we doing to prepare for any kind of collapse, any kind of at least transition, even if it's not a full-blown collapse? I think there's a few things that Americans, if you haven't thought about this, you need to start thinking about this. And I think there's a couple necessary items to where you can get yourself kind of like a base to work from if something bad happens in this economy, if the collapse does come sooner than we expect. A couple things I was thinking about. I mean, obviously you have to have a place to stay. You have to have a shelter over your head. You have to have some place to park yourself, where you're not going to get chased out of. Even a lot of people have mortgages, and a lot of people don't own their own properties, or they're in rents. But I mean, even around here in Missouri, even in my own area right here, there's land for sale that you can get 5-8 acres for just $10,000. And $10,000 isn't that whole lot of money in the grand scheme of things. Although right now $10,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people. It's harder to come up to scrape that kind of cash together, especially with all the other bills and things that people have hanging over their head. But I mean, $10,000 is not an unattainable goal. Even if a couple of people had pulled their money together and said, hey, look, we're going to buy this piece of property, in the event something stupid happens, we have some place to go if we get forced out of where we're at. So that's one thing. Obviously, shelter and a place to stay is paramount. Obviously food. Do you have any kind of food source? Do you raise your own food? Do you have chickens? Do you have cows? Do you have rabbits? I mean, a lot of people around here raise goats, rabbits, all kinds of other little small animals, not just cows and the big things you would normally think of. Do you grow your own crops? Do you have a garden? Do you plan on planting a garden now? All these things that will make it easier later on, and planning out what you're going to eat. Don't grow crazy stuff that you're never going to eat, but just kind of try to grow the vegetables and the things that your family is used to eating. Water, you have to have a source of water. If the electricity goes out, or there's shortages of electricity, or you just can't straight up afford to pay for it, do you have a way to get water? If you have a well, I mean, you can use a water pump, either a hand pump or they make solar ones if you have the money. There's all kinds of different things you can go through. But do you have an ability to pull water out of the ground that's clean if you need it? I mean, so on the thought of clean water, you might want to think of a water filter of some type to filter the water that you do get out. And I would put to that, if you're in a city, first off, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near the city when something like this happens, because you got to understand that if services start to get turned off, it's going to get ugly in the city quick. So you may want to think of a place to head in a rural area. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And the other thing, I don't know if people think of it or not, but energy. We are a society, we're used to having energy. We're used to being able to flick a switch and turn on a light, or to hit a lever and flush a toilet, all these kind of different things. If those things are no longer there, do you have an ability to create your own energy? A lot of people, they knock alternative sources of energy like solar panels or wind turbines or even ethanol fuel, because for one thing, because they're completely influenced by the oil company propaganda. That's one. But that aside, they don't think it's worth paying the cost. But here's the thing. I mean, gas today is at $3.29 across the street from me right here. What if it goes to $4 and $5? All of a sudden, ethanol starts to look pretty good, because it doesn't cost that much. Once gasoline gets above a certain point, ethanol starts to look pretty good. Solar energy. If you don't have any energy at all, if you don't have any electricity at all, a solar panel or two parked outside your house charging some deep cell batteries can come in pretty handy. Or a wind turbine set up on your hill, charging some batteries, can come in pretty handy too. I mean, these things can power your well, they can power your lights for an evening. They don't have to run everything that your air conditioner and TVs and all that stuff that you're used to running. But those are the kind of things you have to keep in mind. And it's no longer about, input and output. It's about independence. It's about getting yourself prepared for something that may happen. And if it doesn't happen, you were prepared for it anyways, and you're not going to lose anything by preparing. You know, so but with all these things, these economic, you know, tsunami, as it was described in an article I read earlier today, there's a big wind of change coming here in America, and we Americans need to be prepared for it. And it's not something that anybody in our generation or the last generation or two has experienced. So in order to make the transition smooth as possible for your own family, you got to start thinking about these things. And you know, tools, axes, saws, things that you can build other things with. Those things are going to become necessary in the new economy that's going to start here, because a lot of things are not going to be sold here into America. We're going to have to make them ourselves or buy them from our neighbors who made them themselves. So we have to start to think locally, buying from local farmers, planting our own food, all these things. These are all going to be in the cards for America coming up. So I just, you know, guys, start thinking about these things. And if you have any ideas you'd like to share, man, leave a comment below, and we could talk about them. Take care.